Hi friends, in this example, in this tutorial we'll discuss how to create a RESTful web service controller. So let me go to my STS. So till now we discussed how to start your server and how to hit the request. But here we don't have any controller to handle the incoming request. So if you look into this diagram, see, whenever you are using Spring Boot application is built on top of Spring only. So your Spring Boot internally uses all the components of your Spring. So whenever an incoming request is coming, so it will goes to dispatcher servlet, and the dispatcher servlet will create a appropriate request handler mapping to handle the incoming request. So what is the responsibility of the request handler? So the request handler will identify the appropriate controller, so which is going to handle the incoming request and perform your business logic. But so that is the use of controller. But here, if you look into this, so we don't have any controller. That's why we are getting 404 error. So now, how to add a controller? So if you want to add anything for your Spring Boot application, so all the packages should be a sub packages of main package, because we already discussed. So because your component scan will scan the pack all the classes, dependent classes from this package only. So that's why if you want to add any more classes or different layers, so those should be subclasses of this package. Now I want to add a controller. So let me add a controller, new class. So now in which package I want to. So, so now I am creating one more package, controller package and the class name. So I am giving, okay, test controller. Uh, okay, test controller. So now see this package. So what are the class I have created? So where I have created? In this package. So in this package. This package is a sub package of main package. So main package means from where your Spring Boot application starts. So and this package is sub package of this. So now your component scan package annotations are not package. Annotation will start looking for the dependent classes from this package to the sub packages. So now it will able to read this controller. If you are creating outside, so it won't able to read the controller, even though the classes are present. So your Spring Boot application won't able to read the dependent classes. So that's why if you want to add some more new classes, so all should be sub packages of this main package. Now, so I have created one test controller, but how to specify? It's a controller because it's ordinary class. So how your Spring Boot framework knows it's a controller? So how your Spring Boot knows from where it needs to start the execution of your application? So this is annotation you are specifying, right? So which will provide all the required configurations and dependent classes. Everything will be done with the help of this annotation. Now you have created a controller, but how your Spring Boot knows it's a controller? So for that you need to add one annotation, REST controller. So now it's a your Spring Boot framework will identify that it's a REST controller. So if you look into this REST controller again, see REST controller annotation. So see, so again it's a combination of two annotations. So It internally contains two annotations, @control and response body. So if you are using only controller, so here you need to specify response body also. But if you remember, in your Spring applications, we used to use both the things. So controller and response body. But here, if you are using RestController, so it internally a combination of controller and response body. This is one of the interview question, so you may face. Now you no need to specify any response body here. Now you have specified the controller. Now I want to specify some methods. So according to my business logic, I want to write some methods. So now or a string. So my return type is string and the method name is m1. So it's a return type. It's because it's return type is string, so it's expecting some return type. Hello. So this is a message I want to display. Now, how to call this method now? Because your control came into here, and how to call this method? So for that, your Spring Boot is providing different methods. Create request. So request mapping. So what request mapping you want to go? So here you will have different parameters. So method. So for which method you need to? So I want to use post. And for what type of incoming request you want to use? So before, okay, let me write this letter. First thing is type. So it has to handle the incoming request. So here, oh, so this is a old type annotation. Let me specify that request mapping method I'm using. So URL pattern I need to give. So what are the things here? So test, because this is old annotation, so I will explain with the new annotations also. So first, so now what type of method? So here we are having different methods, right? If you are using your RESTful web services, so what are the methods are there? Post, put, get, and delete. So these are the methods. So these are the HTTP basic 4 methods, right? Already we discussed. So now here I am using get method. So I need to specify the method, and what's the type of method? So I want to use get method, get. See, now I have specified. So what is the use of these things? Wait, I will explain. So now I want to perform some business logic in my class. So how you will do? So for that you need to write different methods. So now, so I wrote this method, but when I need to call get request, I want to call. So request mapping path and method is get. So how you will know this is a controller? How your Spring Boot framework knows this is a controller? That's why you are using a REST controller. So now your Spring Boot knows. So whenever a incoming request is coming, here assume this is a dispatch server, and here you are having a controller class. So whenever an incoming request is coming, so that is dispatch servlet will handle the request, and for each request it will create one request handler. So what is it? So this is your dispatcher server. Dispatcher server. So whenever an incoming request is coming, so so who is going to handle the request first? So your dispatch handler. So that dispatch handler works as a punt control. So according to the request, so for each request it will create one request handler. The request handler will identify the appropriate controller. So this is a control. How your Spring Boot knows a ordinary class as a controller? So for that you need to use @RestController annotation. So now your Spring Boot will identify this is a controller, and your controller class will contains different methods: m1, m2, m3. Now some business. Now which method I need to call? Now I came into controller. Which method I need to call? That's why you need to use @request handler. So should go to here. Sorry, not request handler. You need to use request mapping. So here, so this might be a post method, this might be a get method, this might be a put method, this might be a delete method. So like that, it will call that appropriate method. So how your URL will look like? So if you look into this, how your URL will look like? So HTTP colon local host, because its application is running in localhost. So port 8080 slash. So test. So now here test is a, so till here you are specifying your application, where your application is running, what is the port number of your application. So this is a path by which it will identify, but all the methods contain same path. So which method you need to call? So here you need to specify post. So it will comes to these methods, and which is having a method type is post. So this is having, so it will cause this. If I'm giving get, so same path, but which method is having a get, it will cause that one. So let's see that one. See, here I have specified the path and method type is get. So now let me run this application of this. Let me run. So if you look into this, so the application got started at default port 8080. So to test this, so how many methods I am having? So I am having only one controller and only get method is there. How to identify this method? So this is a URL pattern. Means with the path you can able to identify. So let's go to here. So go to my, so here HTTP colon localhost 8080 slash path test. So now which method I need to call? So get. So select get, send. So see, so this is the status code 200 means if you are saying 200, so you are having different status codes. For HTTP, one second. For HTTP, you are having different status codes like 400, 404, 403, 415, and 500 internal server errors. So these 400 related are application specific errors. 500 is server errors. So, and we are having one more thing, 200, 201. 200 means success. Okay. 201 means record is created. If you want to insert some data into your database, so here's something. I'm using some UI. So submit. Here you are having a one database. So which method you will use here to send the data to your database? So post, right? POST. So now, but so if a record is inserted into your database, so you will get 201. So 201 means created. So CREATED, and the 200 means okay. So see, you got the 200 response. So now response, see, hello Spring Boot application. See, whatever I mentioned here, it's displayed there. So how it is identified in the controller? Because of this. So this class, with this annotation, it is identifying this class as a controller. And here you are having assume multiple methods. So how to identify that method? So this is the path you need to use and method. So let me change this to get to post. Now if I send this, see, you are getting 405 error, method not allowed. 405 method not allowed, because if you look into this, so what will happen? So I will explain this few with more example, because it's a basics you need to understand very clearly. See, here your application is running at localhost and the port number is 8080 and the path test. So it comes to here, but if you look into this, which method you are passing? Post. But here you don't have any method type post, so it's not matching. So that's why it's not executing anything, and that's why it's giving 405 method not allowed. See, you are trying to get a post method, you are trying to hit a method with post, but here there is no method with post. See, in this controller, do you have any method type post with this path? No. That's why it's giving method not allowed. But if I change it to get, see, because with this path, do you have a method? Get? Yes, get is there. That's why it's working. So now let me add one more method. Public string. So one more method, m2. So open brace, close brace. Now return, return, sorry, return get method. Now see, this is a method, but it's an ordinary method. But how to make this method available to the consumer? So who is the consumer here? So this is a producer. Now this is producer, which produces a service. So who is the consumer now? So your REST client is a consumer. Tomorrow someone may be a consumer. So now which is trying to consume. But how to expose this method to the consumer who want to consume this? So for that you need to add request mapping at the rate. So this is the old annotation. So we'll use another annotation. So you can use this annotation or that, no problem. So we'll discuss that later. So now, how to identify this? So path. So path is same. Sorry. So path is the same. And comma. method. So what method you want to use? Post. Okay. Now path is the same. When an incoming request is coming, yes. So how the request will hit this? So means incoming request from where it will come. So from the consumer. So because this is a producer, which produces a service. So now how you are exposing your RESTful web services outside to the world? By using URI, Universal Resource Indicator. That is nothing but HTTP colon local LOCAA, yeah, local host colon 8080 slash path test. Now if you look into this, so this is URI of your application. If your application is running at localhost, that's why localhost. If your application is running at remote location, yeah, this will change. Now if you hit this URL from your browser, or not browser, from your postman or your REST client, so it will comes to here, and here it will check the path. Both are having the same path. Now which method it needs to call? So for that you need to specify the method. Either get means it will comes to this method and it will execute this. If you are specifying post, so it will comes to this and it will execute. Now if I am passing delete, so now it will comes to this. So it will comes to the controller and it will check yes. But here the method is different, so it won't execute. And it will comes to here and the method is different, it won't execute. And there is no more methods, though then it will close 405 method not allowed error or exception. So let's see that. Now post is there, get is there. So see, now if I give post, so same URL, but how it will distinguish which method it needs to call depending on the methods. So now if I send post, oh sorry, why it is not giving? Because my application, I have not restarted my application, so that's why it's unable to identify that method. So now let me restart, run as Spring Boot application. So if you look into this, so my application got started, so port number is same. No, send is, see, get method. If you look into this, for post method, what is the return? We are returning get method. And now if I go to get, see, hello world Spring Boot for get method. So how you see the URI are same for each method, but how it is identifying which method is needs to call depending on the method. See, here we are specifying a method. This is get method, this is post method. Assume if I use delete, send, so see you will get 405 method not allowed error, because here, yeah, with the URL it will comes into here and it will checks the particular method, but there is no method with delete. That's why it's throwing an error saying 405 method not allowed. So this is a way we need to create a controller. So and here we are not going to use this annotation, and this is a older annotation. So we will use one more annotation, post mapping, get mapping. So those things we'll discuss, but in next example I will create two more methods and we will discuss remaining things. So hope this is helpful. Yeah, thank you.